up guys, I'm Jacob Suggs and welcome back to another video, and today we are once again discussing the Cloverfield paradox because there's still a lot to talk about with this film and I'm also a massive sellout. That being said, there's a lot of things that the Cloverfield paradox has allowed for fans to speculate and debate about online, but although we have the answers to several questions that the film proposes and gives us, there's still one question that left me puzzled for weeks. If you haven't seen the film, spoilers, and I'd recommend watching it before watching this video, as it pertains to something that happens to a certain character in this film. However, judging by the title of this video, I'm guessing you already know what I'm going to be talking about today, so I guess it's not that bad of a twist. Chris O'Dowd in this film plays a character named Mundy, who is my personal favorite character in the entire film. I love Chris O'Dowd as an actor, I think he's phenomenal, and I was excited to see what he would contribute to this movie, and thankfully, he didn't let me down. Now, after the Cloverfield station uses the particle accelerator for the first successful attempt in the first 10 minutes of the movie, after they make the leap from Earth A to Earth B, which I've already discussed in another video on how these films connect to one another, after Cloverfield station makes the jump, a lot of weird stuff starts to happen, and the crew starts to experience things that aren't particularly normal. And one of the things that happens in this movie is that Mundy, while repairing a wall that's been damaged on Cloverfield Station, has his arm sucked into the wall, and when he's finally able to break free, without feeling any pain whatsoever, his arm is gone. And a lot of other stuff happens too, such as Volkov's eye messes up, and Jensen randomly appears in one of the walls of the ship, and essentially the film answers several direct questions regarding how the other two films connect together in that way. However, something curious happens with Mundy's arm later on in the film, something that we don't necessarily get on the same level of an eyeball messing up or a woman appearing in the walls of a ship. Although those answers you kind of have to look into and can find out directly what happened and what they mean, the arm comes back eventually in the film, and it's a question that left me puzzled for weeks. Mundy's arm eventually crawls back on board to send a message to the crew of Cloverfield Station. I get the idea of alternate realities and other parallel worlds, but this just left me a bit confused. In fact, for a few days I was on the message boards and the subreddit and other websites trying to figure out exactly how it would be possible for Mundy's disembodied arm to write a message to a crew, especially if Mundy didn't know the gyrosphere was inside Volkov to begin with. Now, if you have not seen my video on how all of these films connect together, then I would say that you probably should watch that film before watching this one too. I know I mentioned it a couple minutes ago, but something that I'm about to say is going to directly relate to that, so I'd recommend watching that film and then coming back and watching this film just for the sake of not being confused. Now, in my personal theory for how these films connect, there are two Earths that are in the Cloverfield paradox, obviously. The first one's in Cloverfield's universe, and when the particle accelerator makes the jump, it goes to Earth 2, which is 10 Cloverfield Lane's universe. Well, that could play a part here, but even if my theory isn't correct, there still remains a lot of validity to how this particular mystery is solved. Mundy from Earth 1 lost his arm, yet didn't feel any pain whatsoever after he lost it. But if there was a Mundy on Earth 1, there had to be another one from Earth 2. Mundy 1 lost his arm, and while it was being ripped apart from him, Mundy 2 possibly took this opportunity to alert the crew as to what was actually inside Volkov, aside from the space worms. But this begs the question, how would Mundy 2 know about something that hasn't happened to Mundy 1 yet in the crew of that world? Well, it's because the particle accelerator sent them through time and space, and since we're basically in a metaphorical quote-unquote void of sorts throughout the movie, then it would make sense as to how one Mundy would know something that the other one would possibly find out about. Basically, the arm knew about what was going to happen to Volkov with the space worms and the gyrosphere, because it was from a future to where it already happened, or possibly it was. I mean, think about it this way. It's like talking to yourself in a mirror. You aren't actually talking to yourself, but you can see what you're saying and hear what you're saying, but theoretically speaking and hypothetically speaking, you aren't actually talking to yourself, it's to a reflection of what you look like. Now, some people would argue that the arm was from another time, while others would actually argue that the arm was from another world or dimension entirely, which Both of those are also very possible, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of compelling arguments to be made here, and I don't want to just shoot down one for the sake of saying, oh, this one's 100% right, when in all honesty, I think the filmmakers did this intentionally because they were like, you know, if we leave it open-ended, I feel like that's gonna cause for a lot of discussion, which is what we're doing now. But for me, both answers have validity to them, and it really results in a really complex, confusing, and non-concrete answer to this question. So I can totally see if this really bugs you or has annoyed you. I completely get it. Ultimately, it's just up to the person posing the question. If the arm is from another dimension or world, or if the arm is from the same world in the future, both theories add up and have validity to them, but it's ultimately up to you and me as to which we personally agree with. I just think that it's ultimately up to the person thinking about it, so unfortunately we don't really have a concrete answer to this question, but we have a few theories as to how it's possible that the arm still had a sense of consciousness to it and was able to warn the crew about what was going to happen. I also want to mention before this video ends that the Cloverfield Paradox retweeted me on Twitter, which means that I am officially part of the Cloverfield canon. This is breaking news, so stay with me, but I'm the Overlord. when you play the ARG so much that you become the ARG. That being said, all jokes aside, thank you to the Cloverfield Paradox page for retweeting me. It means a lot. I thought it was really funny and awesome, and I freaked out whenever I saw it. But going back to the theory, yeah, we really don't have a concrete answer to this question, but to me, that's part of the fun. I love discussing this stuff with you guys, and I love hearing what you guys have to say. That being said, what is your theory on where the arm came from and how it was able to do what it did? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, I'm Frame by Frame. Remember the name. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.